This is a presentation on how to fix burnout and get more out of doing less. This is for the people who try really hard and want to achieve great things, but struggle with getting burnt out or overwhelmed. This is not for lazy people. If you're a lazy person, this won't make any sense to you. This is for the people whose greatest desire is to do the most they can. So, do you try really hard? Do you do your best to learn and grow and to become competent? If that's the case, then congratulations. You are following what's known as common wisdom. The thing about common wisdom, though, is that it's something that everyone agrees with, but very few people do. Everyone agrees that you should try hard, learn more, and be better, but very few people do it. So if you've taken the time to obtain the knowledge, to put forth the effort, and learn the skills that will help you move forward in life, then by the nature of following common wisdom, you have become uncommon. And if that's you, and you also typically work until you drop, stretch yourself too thin from too many projects, use your free time to fit in extra work and education, and often do more than other people, but still feel like it's not enough, and you're struggling with hopelessness, exhaustion, overwhelm, uncertainty, and meaninglessness, but you really kind of wish you could just do more, then the advice to try harder, educate yourself, and be better is the common advice that is no longer useful to you. In fact, it's repetitive and harmful. Let me explain. Do you need to tell a disciplined person to be disciplined? Do you need to tell an ambitious person to set big goals? Do you need to tell an exhausted person to try harder? No, that's advice for lazy people. Different people need different advice, and you are the person who is doing the best they can. My name is Josh Terry, and I'm a high-performance coach that helps you overcome burnout and achieve elite performance using the frameworks and techniques that I've developed that have impacted millions of lives. I know this stuff because I was once a burnout and a workaholic. And I learned that a person trying as hard as they can, being told to try harder, gets no improvement and more problems. For example, when I was in my final year of college, I was working the hardest that I possibly could. I was going for a degree in classical violin performance, and I walked in to my violin professor's office one day and put my music on the stand for a lesson and played through a piece knowing that I wasn't doing a good job. And after I finished, my professor told me one of the hardest things I ever heard during my college career. He looked at me, and with complete confidence, he said, "Josh, it's time for you to stop partying, get serious, and get to work." Which sounds like reasonable advice, right? Things aren't working, so get to work. Until you realize that I started college at the age of 15 years old, and I stayed until I was 22 because I loved learning. And during those years, I went to 2 parties and remained sober the entire time because I had homework that night. And so my professor was asking for me to do the impossible. He was asking me to try harder when I was already trying the hardest that I possibly could. And that advice broke me. When you're doing the most that you can, doing more is destructive. Such as in my case, that final spring break of college, I practiced the violin until I got permanent nerve damage in my fingertips for life. And when I graduated, I didn't come out of college with a job waiting for me. I went back down to the bottom and I got a job doing manual labor. And I worked in the construction industry for years. And I struggled for years trying to get myself to the next level of success in life, always pushing as hard as I could, always being willing to take on the challenge, always being willing to follow the instructions, always doing too much, always going overboard until I fell back down and had to start again and again and again. And so if you're the type of person where you never miss a meeting, you always do your job, everyone leans on you at work, everyone leans on you in life, if you're doing everything right in every possible way that you can, and if instead of success you're getting exhaustion, and you're willing to do even more if it gets you what you want, but it doesn't, and you're losing hope, then you are offering up everything that you have onto the negotiation table of life in exchange for your dreams, and only getting the response back that you should do a little more. And that's why you're burning out. And it's reasonable that you would be in this situation. Because the world tells us a story. It tells us that if you want to achieve great things, then you need to try hard to get there. And people with good intentions and high ambitions take that advice to heart. And every day they show up and do the most they can. And if you do this every day, day in and day out, if you follow this advice literally, then eventually you run into the burnout paradox, where you feel like you only have two options, that you can do more and burn out, or do less and fail. And when you live in this situation for too long, it eventually wears you down. It creates a life where you are constantly stacking up more losses than wins. Every single day feels like a loss because you're stuck in this paradox. Every day you're in an impossible situation. And every day you're giving more energy to the tasks that you assign yourself than you get back from doing them. This is really simple. Imagine waking up in the morning with 5 tokens of energy. And then because you are a passionate, ambitious person and you've heard the message to work hard and be better and put everything that you have into the work, you do. So you put that energy into the work and then you get 3 tokens of energy back because that's how rewarding your work is. That's how much you get paid. That's how much it fulfills you or whatever it is. And then you go to bed and you get 1 token of recovery every night. That adds up to less than what you started with. And this is how you create a life where you are less every day. This is how you turn every day into a failure. Not the kind of failure that the motivational speakers tell you you should learn to love. The kind of failure that grinds you into the dust over time. So if you're the type of person who has worked harder, you have learned and you are being better, and you're following the advice and you're still struggling, then you need a different path. You need to be energized. You need to be given the tools that will help you move farther. You need the systems that enable you, not the ones that push you. And if you had them, then you would just go make great things because that's what you've always wanted to do. And so I developed a system that assumes that you're not the idiot who needs to be told to work harder. You're the one who needs the frameworks that support you. I developed a system for the ambitious, for the overwhelmed, for the burnouts who want to keep going, the successful who want more, and for the people who want to tap into the talents they already have. If that's you, and you'd like to get better results and have an easier life at the same time, then stop looping on the lazy people's advice that you've outgrown. Instead of asking what is required of you to accomplish your goals and coming back with work harder, learn more, and be better, ask the question, what is required to make you the type of person who would achieve great things? Ask not what you can do to achieve your dreams, but what would turn you into the type of person who could achieve them. And the answer is to move from maximizing effort to maximizing proof. Because effort drains you and proof fuels you. Proof is the unrelenting evidence that you are moving in the correct direction so that you have concrete motivation to continue. And when you learn how to build proof in the right way, it creates unstoppable momentum over time. And this is how you do it. The first thing you need is clarity. You need to know what you're working on and what you're not. What's working and what's not. You need to know what you've done and what the next step is. If you don't have these things, then you can't create the most powerful motivational system that exists inside of the human biology, which is the winner effect. You need this to know when you've done a good job. Once you have this, you need to understand your own desires. You need to be tapped in deeply and understand what you want in life, because that will make you feel like what you're doing is worth it. After you get clarity on what you want, then you need boundaries. The ones that protect you and the ones that channel your energy in the right direction. Then you need to be tapped into a deeper perspective on life. You need to have a vision for the long-term values that you care about, and awareness for the day, because this is what informs your clarity, desire, and boundaries. Once you have that, then you can start setting the long-term and short-term goals that get you into action. And once you're in action, you need the systems of productivity to support you. Once you have all of this, you need to be able to identify when it's working. And then you need to learn how to make it a lifestyle. When all of this is in place and you have the state control to jump back into this system whenever you find yourself falling out, then you are truly going to be living a life where you know what to do, it feels like it's worth doing, and you know that you can do it. And if you have those things, then you will do it because you're already an action taker and you don't need help taking action. You need help with everything else. And so this is what I help people do. I help them move from maximizing effort to maximizing proof using systematic self-development techniques and the state control tools that help them drop back into those techniques whenever they fall out. This is what helps you move towards optimism, energy, balance, confidence, clarity, and purpose. And so let's create the steps together, not the ones that help you achieve your specific goal, but the ones that turn you into the person who could achieve them. And if this resonates with you, then you should click the link below and fill out the application to see if you're a fit to work with me, because this is what I help people do. The number of sources that I've pulled from to build this system are extensive. I have studied learning for years, and I've been a teacher for years and a coach for years. I've pulled from learning theory, behavioral science, exposure therapy, flow theory, somatic practices, leadership psychology, all the way down to common sense. And if you want, you can spend years studying through each of these on your own to figure out what works for you. Or you can use this system that's developed to figure out what works for you. It has worked for every part of the corporate world that it has touched. And I've worked with influencers, artists, entrepreneurs, and creatives alike. It works for in-person or remote. Some very big names have come to me, such as Jack Neal, who came to me years back, very overwhelmed from going viral online. And a lot of people, when they get that kind of notoriety at the beginning, they really just crash and burn afterwards. But we worked together to figure out what was sustainable for him. And 4 years later, he's still with me. And he's growing one of the fastest growing podcasts in the world. Or Andrew, a director at eBay who was losing confidence after a promotion. He came to me and we developed systems to identify what high performance looked like and how to make it achievable in his new position. And his confidence and his compensation skyrocketed. Or Kevin, who came to me burnt out and uninspired. And he doubled his revenue in 8 weeks. Doing less. It's worked for professors, financial advisors, global ops directors. If you're not sure if this will work for you, then here's the list of people that I've used these methodologies with. And if you don't see yourself on this list, then it's probably because I just didn't want to make the font any smaller. None of these people were told to work harder. They were all given the systems that prevent overwhelm and burnout. And if you've tried some of the methodologies that I've cited before and they didn't work for you, then you need to understand that burnout is a holistic problem. And so you need a system that spans a lot of different practices that will help you identify what you need to achieve balance. And if you feel like you don't have the time, then you should know that this is one of the most efficient systems that I've ever seen. Most systems are designed to get you to do more work. They give you tons of exercises, tons of practices to do in your off time. And this system does have some exercises, but a very small number. What it's focused on is changing how you work. And so I'm less interested in giving you more to do and more interested in helping you find ways to make your life easier. And so if you feel like the weight of the world is resting on your shoulders and you're giving everything that you've got and it still feels like it's never enough, imagine waking up clear, calm, focused, energized, with momentum. And 6 months from now, it's even easier. You're in alignment with what works. Growth feels automatic. Progress feels inevitable. If that sounds good to you, that's what I help people do. If you listen this far, then you know the truth. You're not lazy. You're an action taker, and you just need the system that helps you keep going. That's what this is. 8 weeks of structured training. 8 weeks of guided application with me. A system that turns you into a winner, ends burnout, and gives you clarity and purpose. You can waste years piecing this together alone, or you can shortcut it in 16 weeks. The choice is yours. Go to the link below, and let's get started.